Hello everyone, welcome back to the last video of this year's Inktober series. I cannot believe it's finally here. I'll be very honest, I have been waiting for this moment. This is the fourth and last video, and without any further ado, let's get right on into it. Day 22 was expensive, and because I wanted a reason to draw a house for this Inktober, I decided to pick this prompt for it. I just really love drawing houses. I love the architectural drawing part of it, and I kind of used this sketch from a couple of weeks ago that I drew this little house, and it looked like a really expensive little house from San Francisco, so I decided to draw this. Also, this video is brought to you today by Squarespace, and I wanted to thank them for the sweet spawn, as well as helping me out with my brand new website. What? But a little bit more on that later. I'm using my Art and Fly fine liners, and I use mainly the 0.1 up to 0.3 to do this house, just specifically because I wanted the thinner lines to just keep it really clean. I'm gonna be honest, this is probably the most boring one out of all of the Inktober videos because this is just a lot of straight lines. I also really like the fact that this kind of looks like my dream house that one day I'd love to live in. I just think it's so cute and slender and adorable, and I'd love to live in a house like this one day. I also remember drawing out the sketch for this a couple of weeks back. I was binge watching the confession tapes on Netflix, and I remember I was absolutely so scared. I was like trembling scared because I get scared very easily, and I was at home alone for a whole weekend, and I was like watching this goddamn show, and and this is probably the only thing that kept me slightly sane, was drawing out this very intricate and detailed house. So I really don't recommend, guys, watching scary crime shows when you're home alone for a whole weekend. I say this, but I've done this again and again. I just, fun fact, I love crime shows and stuff like that, so I should probably just stop watching them when I'm home alone, huh? For the right side of the house, it was just mainly therapeutic because it was kind of a lot of the same structure repeated. So you've got like the little arches at the bottom that then they kind of repeat at the top. And yes, I used a ruler for a lot of this just because my hand was a bit shaky on this day, probably from all that caffeine, Piper. No, what? Yes, my hands were a bit shaky, and I just needed that aid, guys. I needed it. Yeah, I used a ruler, and I honestly, I have no problem with rulers. Like, some people say that rulers are like, just like real artists don't use rulers. I'm like, but like, why not? I used to have an art teacher that used to like steal our rulers and stuff because she just wouldn't allow us to use rulers, and rubbers as well for that matter. She'd just steal them, and I'm like, why? Okay. I don't see the issue with rulers. Especially when it's a house, like when it's an architectural drawing, like, come on. So with all the sort of line art done, I kind of went in and did a bit of cross-hatching just to give some depth to the house, and also added a little bit of foliage on the sides just because it makes it look a lot cuter. And also at the end, it kind of started looking like some New Orleans houses. I don't know why, it just kind of reminds me of some houses you'd see in Princess and the Frog. I don't even know why. I think it's such a cute little house. And I took a thinner fine liner to do a little bit of cross-hatching and adding a little bit of shading to the house, just to kind of give it some depth, I guess. And I'm using my Art and Fly white gel pen for doing some of the highlights. I've recently been very into the Art and Fly white gel pen because when I first got it, I was kind of like, I don't know, because I tried it out with some markers and stuff, and I wasn't really sold. But recently I've been like using it like on and off just to give it a shot, I guess, and it's growing on me. It's quite opaque. It's a lot more opaque than I thought. Sometimes it turns a little bit blue when you put it out over ink, but I mean, it sort of does the job sometimes, so I don't mind it. Then after doing all of that shading, I added a little lamppost to that empty area on the side, just to kind of fill up that little void. And that was it for day 22, guys. Very Great Gatsby-esque as well. I had so much trouble saying that. So for day 23, Muddy, I was going to draw for this day like a little drawing of some Wellington boots on their own, being very muddy. But when I actually got to this day, I was kind of like, I wanted to draw something a little bit more intricate. So I decided to draw this little girl kind of just having fun outside in the mud and the rain, and I think it ended up looking so adorable and so innocent. I just think it looked so cute. And she's just holding a little umbrella, she's got her little wellies on, she's holding this little flower, and it just looks so cute. Again, as you can see, I'm using my Art and Fly fine liners, and yeah, those have been my go-to. You guys know. I also, as you know, had a little bit way too much fun drawing out all this hair. I have been obsessed with drawing hair ever since Inktober started. I don't know why, I just love inking it. It's so relaxing. I also feel like maybe the umbrella was a little bit off in terms of like the angle that it was being held by her. I don't know why, it just looks a little bit off. Even though I did try to fix it like 17 times, it still looked like it was a little bit too tilted to the right, but oh well. I feel like this drawing was also perfect for this time of the year, because when I was drawing this, it's kind of when it's starting to get really cold here in Leeds, or at least cold for me, and I love the cold and autumn and stuff like that, so this is perfect. So I drew on some little Wellington boots on her. So now's a good moment for me to talk to you guys about my new website, actually. I've used Squarespace actually in high school, and many of my family members use it as well, and I feel like that just goes to show how easy they make it for you to set up your website. They have templates, domains, and for anyone out there who knows virtually nothing about web design like me, their customer service is A+. So if you'd like to have a go yourself, don't forget to start your free trial at squarespace.com. And when you're ready to launch, you head over to squarespace.com/Pipa to get 10% off your first website and online store. Isn't that a sweet deal? Like 10% off on your girl. I'll also leave the link for my new website down there if you guys want to go have a look. I will say, I feel like Squarespace is always also a really good opportunity to make an online portfolio for all my fellow artists out there. So again, all the links will be down there. Heading back to this cute little girl, I drew out a little puddle underneath her with some foliage and some stones, and added a bunch of little stains of mud on her. She's real dirty. She's having a bunch of fun outside, and she's covered in mud, but it's cool because she's having fun. And I think this drawing ended up looking absolutely adorable. In all of its simplicity, it just looks so pure and innocent. I went in with my Sakura Koi brush marker and just kind of made the puddle stand out a little bit more by completely coloring it in black, especially because it makes it look like mud a lot better than just, keeping it blank. So yeah, then I went a bit crazy with the shadows and just harshened a bunch of shadows on the umbrella and on her dress and stuff like that. And I think that was pretty much it. I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. She looks so cute. She's having a bunch of fun jumping in those puddles, because who doesn't love jumping on puddles? And that leads us on to day 24, which is chop. And for this day, I kind of wanted to go for something like cutting your hair related, because I think that would be a really cute like interpretation of the prompt. So I decided to kind of draw out this little character, which kind of, let's be real, looks a lot like Sasha. I was quite lazy for this one, guys, I'll be honest. So I drew out this little girl, and she has like this huge fringe that's like kind of going over her eyes a little bit. She needs a chop. She needs to get a haircut. And I relate. So it's kind of just got like this little scissor going and cutting off her fringe a little bit. I don't know, I found this prompt a little bit weird in terms of like what I drew for it, but I think it ended up looking okay. It looks cute. Also, it had a lot of hair in it, so that was fun. I just really had a lot of fun drawing out all this hair. She's got like little two buns, well, not buns, but just little pigtails just kind of hanging there. So I kind of drew out this little like line, like the ones we used to have on worksheets and stuff at school, where it's like, cut here, because I thought it'd be really funny. And I kind of drew the little icon of the scissor on the side, and I think it ended up looking so cute. And I decided to go in and draw like a bigger scissor, actually, you know, going in for the chop, and drawing a bunch of like hair strands falling off that have already been chopped off. And I think it ended up looking better than I was expecting, especially because I just kept adding to it, and because I just wasn't satisfied with it at all for ages. But eventually I had enough of it, and I think it looked optimal. So then I started having my fun with all these hair strands and inking all this mane, and I'll be honest with you, again, had too much fun. I really did. I think it's just the most therapeutic, like just having something playing on in the background, music or like a show or something, and just inking away all your problems. I just think it's the best time. So as you can see, I was just adding some little chunks of hair just kind of falling in front of her face. And yeah, then I just kind of gave her a sort of body, I guess, with like wearing a striped t-shirt, because that's my favorite thing in the world, striped t-shirts. And that was pretty much it for the drawing itself. I kind of went in with a lot of corrector fluid, because Lord knows I made a lot of mistakes. Especially because when I actually put the drawing on straight in front of me, I realized how crooked everything was. So I had to go in and fix in a lot of that stuff. I'm a big ol' mess. As you can see, corrector fluid everywhere. And then actually went in with a ruler. Crazy, guys, what? And fixed all of that. And then to make that huge pair of scissors pop out a little bit better from her hair, I kind of went in and filled it in with some black fine liner. And that was pretty much it, guys. I used my Pentel gel pen for this drawing, I forgot to mention, but I'm really happy with how this one turned out in the end, even though I made a lot of mistakes. So for day 25, the prompt was prickly, and I immediately, when I saw this prompt, I wanted to do something based on like a prickly sweater. Because we've all had one sweater at least that you just wanted to scratch your skin off. I used to get that a lot when I was little, when I used to get out of the shower and put on like a woolen sweater, and I get really itchy. So I kind of wanted to draw this pretty lady, and she's all wrapped up for winter. She's wearing a huge sweater and a beanie. Everything's very soft and woolen, but then her sweater's a bit prickly, guys. It's not very comfy. And she's like pulling out her turtleneck situation a little bit, because it's itchy. It's real itchy. I also think that this is probably one of my favorites from this week. I just really love the composition of this drawing, I guess. It's the most autumnal drawing. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And yeah, I just went to town with it, to be honest. I gave her a little fluffy woolen hat. I also kind of decided to go all ham when drawing out the sweater and giving it a bunch of nuances. Like when I drew the towel last week, giving it all those little details to make it look fluffy. So I did that a lot in this drawing as well. Also, I think it's fair to mention that I hope you guys are like having something to drink because this is a long video. It's like over 40 minutes long, and I really tried to shorten it to a more acceptable timing, but it is 10 days worth of drawing, guys. Okay, it's a lot of days. And yeah, I was gonna post this video for just that 1 week on Monday, and then have the last couple 4 days as their own video, but I thought that'd be a little bit, a little bit too much. So I decided to put them all in the same video and just have 4 weeks instead of 4.5. I feel like that's a more adequate sort of system. And then I added a bunch of leaves kind of floating around behind her. And I think these looked so cool. I think they really added that extra moment to the piece. And of course, you guys know me, a black background just to really finish it off. I went in and drew it out first and then used my Sakura brush pen to fill it all in. As per usual, guys, all the materials I use are always in the description below. You guys always ask me what I'm using. It's always down there. I list everything. So if you guys are wondering what it is I'm using, it's down there. And then I went in with the same brush pen and just added a bunch of shading, just some really harsh shadings everywhere. And then I went in with one of my fine liners from Art and Fly and just kind of gave it some cross hatching here and there just to give it some depth and just to finish it off, I guess. And with all that done, that was it for day 25. Again, I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I just love the composition and the feel to it. Very happy with this one. Very seasonal as well, might I add. So for day 26, stretch. Initially I was going to do some sort of drawing of a ballerina for this one and kind of have her either stretching out her feet or doing some sort of ballerina pose. But I don't know, I was kind of looking at a bunch of reference pictures and this day had been the longest day of my life. It had been a rough day, guys, I'll be honest. So I kind of wanted to go for something a little bit more simple and that wouldn't have taken that much more brain power, to be honest. So I kind of decided to go with this drawing of this girl waking up and just having that good morning stretch. And is there anything better than that morning stretch when everything in your body clicks? Can anyone relate? I love that. It's like one of the best parts of the day is when you stretch in the morning. And I end up quite liking how it turned out. It's very simple drawing, but I think it ended up looking quite adorable. It wasn't the best, I'll be honest, the best one of this month, but it's what I needed for this day, guys. So I was just using my fine liners from Art and Fly to do pretty much the whole thing, just kind of giving her that severe bedhead that we can all relate to be honest. And giving like just some pillows in the background, and she's kind of still covered in her duvet and everything. And then because of course it was so simple, I decided to give it a black background. Yeah, again, very simple, but I think it ended up looking really cute for the time and energy I had available to me. And then I also decided to give it a bunch of harsh shadows as well behind her, like as if the morning sun is kind of hitting her, as it is right now as I'm recording this. It's just those really harsh shadows, and it ended up looking quite peaceful, I think. Again, not my favorite drawing I've done, but yep, there it is. Day 26, stretch. And it could have looked worse, I'll be very honest. It could have looked worse, but not my favorite. So this leads us on to day 27. And alright guys, day 27, I wanted to get a bit experimental, right? Because I had this vision for this piece of like this night sky, and there's a bunch of lightning and thunder happening, and I wanted to go with some true ink. So I whacked out my ink and my brushes, and I was like, you know what, today it's a true ink day. And I decided to do the whole background in this kind of watercolory style, because I think that was the best way that I could achieve this vision that I had for today's prompt. And honestly, I had so much fun. It was very like cool to let go of the fine liners and the pens for a day. I think it just kept things interesting, I think. It was a lot of fun. I did miss drawing it with inks and my brushes and everything, and it kind of made the piece really stand out from the rest of them. And I went in and I drew out this like sort of cliff it's got like a man at the top with an umbrella, and he's just there. I don't really know what's happening story-wise in this piece. I just think I think the vibe speaks for itself. It's quite dark and gloomy and stuff, but he's just sitting there, you know? He's just having a good old time. I hope so. I really hope so. I also just wanted to play around with the contrast and silhouettes a lot with this one and not have to deal a lot with details. I think I achieved it very well. I also borrowed this white ink Posca pen from my flatmate. She's very, very sweet. She let me use this for a while because I've been trying to get one for myself, but I keep forgetting to buy one, and I really wanted to use this one for today, and I just like, hey, can I use yours, please? And I used this to draw out all the thunder and the highlights basically on top of the ink. I was gonna initially use masking fluid for this, but I couldn't find it, so so white Posca pen it is. And I added a bunch of like stars and stuff like that to the rest of the sky. And then to make the character and the cliff kind of stand out a bit more, I kind of outlined a little bit with some highlights. And I think it ended up looking so adorable. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And it was a lot of fun using this pen, so I'm gonna get one as soon as possible. And that was it for day 27. It was very quick, to be honest, but I think I had a lot of fun with this one. And with that done, this leads us on to day 28, which was gift. For this one, I immediately had this idea of a bouquet of flowers because I think bouquets of flowers are just so beautiful, and it's an art, I think. I'll be honest. So I decided to do this kind of bouquet of roses and some other flowers that I definitely know the names of, and just have these hands kind of cradle it, being like, oh my god, for me? Thank you. When I drew it out, only like after drawing out all these details did I realize how off-center it was on the page. So I kind of had to fill in that empty space on the right with some like bubbles and of course a black background. I'm so bad at centering drawings on a page. I really am. It's why a lot of these drawings, all the pieces of paper are different sizes, because I keep not centering them and then having to like cut off chunks of it from the sides just to make it look a bit more centered. I'm a big old mess, guys. But normally when I do realize this, it's already a bit too late for me to even want to rub it all out and start again. So yeah, we improvise is what we do, guys. I added some little like ribbons on the bouquet. I made it look fancy, you know, like really like an anniversary sort of bouquet. Not that I would know what that is or what it looks like, but I went on Pinterest, guys. And then it was time to actually draw in all the flowers, and again, I had a lot of fun with this actually. I was kind of dreading drawing out all these little details, but when I actually started, it was like when I draw hair. It was just really therapeutic, repetitive work, and I found it very fun. I really did. I kind of went in and drew out a bunch of different flowers that I could think of, some roses. I'm not going to try and say any other flower names because I know none, but God. Surely there's some dandelions in there because I remember drawing some fluffy boys, so yeah, I went in and just kind of filled in all the spaces that I could, and all the spaces that I didn't fill in, I just kind of later on went in and added some shading to it just to make all the flowers pop, really. And I'm using my Pentel gel pen again for this entire drawing pretty much. It's the 0.7 gel pen. I've also been a huge fan of this one this month. It's just it's a good boy. I like it. And then I went in and added some harsher shadows to pretty much everything to kind of accentuate it all. And with that done, I went in and added the actual black background as well as the speech bubbles. Again, using my Koi Sakura brush marker to color in the background. It's just really opaque and easy to use, so it's what I've been using to color in like big chunks of background for this month, really. And that was it. I'm really happy with how all the details of the bouquet turned out. I think it turned out better than I was expecting, mostly because I had a lot more fun than I was expecting in drawing them. So that was it for this day. Day 29 was double. I'll be honest, okay, initially for this prompt, I was going to draw this really intricate drawing of two twin witches over a cauldron, and they were like the classic odd couple, but it got to the day, and again, I had a really long day, and it had been a really busy week, I'll be honest with you guys. I was really exhausted, so I was like, I'm gonna do something a little bit more simple for today, and I decided to do this drawing of like double vision, like a trippy drawing. I used to draw out stuff like this a lot a couple years back. I was just really obsessed with this artist on Instagram, and I forget his name right now, but I'll put his link in the description. He does a lot of paintings of stuff like this, so just faces with double vision, really. I wanted to do a whole thing that kind of looked like you were having double vision, and it ended up looking quite trippy, and I'm really happy with it. So I drew this just very simple girl. It really isn't that intricate other than the fact that it's double vision. Other than that, it's just like a girl looking a bit spacey, to be honest. And yeah, but I needed something simple for today because I was very tired. And I've been like pretty much overworking myself a little bit the past couple of weeks, and I'm probably gonna go back to doing just one video a week for a while because I have been like passing out every day from exhaustion, and my mental health has not been great because of that. So it's probably just because it's been Inktober and a bunch of other stuff in life, but yeah, I'll probably just tone it down on the videos a little bit, but still posting, guys, don't you worry. So I kind of decided not to do this double vision situation on her hair just because I feel like that would just end up looking like a mess. So I kind of kept it just to her face and neck area, and I think because of the way I draw the hair, it ended up looking good in terms of tying it in with the rest. Yeah, I think it all tied up beautifully at the end, and it didn't look too bad. And when I was kind of looking at it closer to the end, I realized her background looked really, really plain. So I added in some shadings, and I decided to add some sort of like overlapping square backgrounds. I didn't want to do a black background for this one, but I did want to keep on the theme of double vision in the background as well. Yeah, I was just adding some shadings here and there just to kind of make it pop. Yeah, it was kind of trippy as well to figure out where to overlap shadows and where not to, because I hadn't done this sort of stuff in a while, so I was kind of getting back in the rhythm of it. But it's a really fun exercise. I really do recommend you guys trying it out. It's really fun. And then I went in with my gel pen just to kind of darken a bunch of those lines, just because it's really good for that kind of stuff. It's got really opaque black ink, and with that done, I just went in and did that background thing that I mentioned. I'm still not really sure what it was or what it was meant to be, but yeah, I think it tied it in quite nicely. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out in the end. So that was it for day 29. And yeah, again, very simple. It's very quick, but I really needed something simple for this day. And I think with what I had available to me, this was quite good. So we're quite nearing the end here. Day 30, JOLT. I kind of looked up the synonyms for jolt because I was kind of feeling a bit uninspired for this one, and I saw that jolt can also be sort of an electricity jolt, and I immediately had this idea of like this girl with a huge afro having the frizziest hair. Because when I was a kid, my mom used to always make jokes saying that whenever my hair was really untamable, she'd be like, "Oh, it's like you stuck your fingers in a plug socket," and which is a bit morbid, but I love it. It's just so funny. So I decided to play with that for this prompt. So she's kind of been like, "Oh God, is this what I'm working with today? Oh Jesus!" And I feel like we've all been there, guys. I feel like we've all been there. Some days you wake up and your hair is just electric, you know? So I kind of drew out her face and her torso before I went in to deal with that mane of hers. I really, really enjoy drawing curly hair because it's got all the joys of drawing hair times 10. And I love drawing afros, so this was a day at the park for me, guys. I really enjoyed it. I drew out a bunch of like little strands of hair that were like really standing on edge, just really like as if she had an electric current going through her, and I think it ended up looking so adorable. And I drew out these kind of little zaps and thunderbolts kind of going out from her head, and yeah, it looked really cute. I'm also again using my Pentel 0.7 gel pen for this one. I feel like for faces, this Pentel is my go-to. I don't know. I just really like it for drawing faces and busts and stuff like that. And then I kind of added some little fuzz bits to her sweater as per usual. And because I wanted to kind of counterbalance the details of the hair with the bottom of the drawing, just to kind of balance it out a little bit, I added a bunch of lines to her sweater, and I feel like that balanced out the drawing really well. Because yeah, a little bit later I went in and added a bunch of like little details to the hair, just to make it look a little bit more afro-y and not 2D. So yeah, I think the drawing ended up looking very adorable, and I'm very happy with how the composition ended up looking. And then, of course, using this white Posca pen that I stole from my flatmate yet again to fix in a bunch of the details I'd done. And as you can tell, it was starting to get a bit dark by this time. yeah, that was pretty much it for this drawing. I kept kind of adding to it. It was one of those days, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's so cute. I think it looks so cute as a print as well. I really do like it. And this leads us on to the last day of Inktober, guys. We made it. We done did it. We did it. I did it. I am shocked that I did it. And yeah, let me just get into it. Day 31, the prompt was slice, and I was like, yes, perfect. This is amazing. Because for anyone who doesn't know, I have this OC, and her name is Kirei, because it means slice in Japanese. How perfect is that? So I was like, cool, day 31, it's Kirei time. She's basically just high school samurai ninja girl, and she's so badass and so cool. And she hasn't been fully fleshed out yet. She's kind of something that came up in the summer, and I was obsessed with drawing her for a while, and I still haven't had time to go back to her a little bit. But I love her to death, and she's just so cool and badass. And I drew her in this sort of like power stance where she's in the middle of a battle and she's just like, yeah, about to attack. And I really do love drawing her. I love drawing her swords and her outfit, her leotard. It's just everything. I love her so much. I was really happy that the last prompt was slice, just purely because I wanted to draw Kirei. So I was using my fine liners for this last prompt, mainly because they're great for very detailed work, and this is detailed work. So yeah, I love her a lot. She kind of came up during the summer, and it was like one of those things where I have no idea how she popped into my head, but she kind of did accidentally, and then I was like, oh my god, I love this. So I fleshed it out, and I was like, oh my god, yes. And she's very thick. She's got some good thighs. I love drawing her. She's amazing. I love her. And I've drawn her before in this sort of stance, but I've never really done it as a finished drawing. So this was my chance. I was very happy. She's got this cool leotard situation with some bat sleeves, which is the coolest thing, I think. She's just got a cool outfit and some cool swords, and she always wears this sort of like bandana on her face to just kind of cover her scar, because she has a really big scar on her face that goes into her lip. So she kind of has that to show she doesn't show her enemies that she is, I don't know, killable. I don't really know. So I drew out a bunch of like little foliage and stones and stuff around her on the floor, just to kind of create a bit of a contrast when I went in and colored in her shadow with black. And I went in with my fine liners and just added a bunch of shading. I wanted to go in hard with the shading just to kind of give that atmosphere of like intense battle mode. So after going in with like a lot of shading to all of her body, I went in and again did some little details on her hair, of course. I had a lot of fun with that again. And when I did that, I went in with my Koi Sakura brush pen to shade in the shadow underneath her. And I think that just added that huge contrast that the drawing was needing, to be honest. I went in with the Posca pen and just kind of fixed some of the things that I won't cover that I didn't want covered. Oops. And with all that done, I think that was pretty much it. I just kind of added some little action lines around her, and I was in love with how it looked. I was very, very happy. I went in again to add some darker lines around her, just to make her stand out. Yeah, just adding some harsher shadows and everything. I'm in love with how this drawing turned out. I'm so happy that I got to finish Inktober with my cutie patootie. Kire, I'm so happy. And oh my god, the breath of relief after I finished this one. Woo! Guys, I'm so proud of myself. I did it. I did a whole 31 days of Inktober drawings, and I am so excited to put these up as a zine and as prints all up on my shop. Again, I wanted to say a really big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, guys, all the prints for this month's drawings are all on my shop down below. And the zine will be coming out very soon this week, so keep an eye out for that. Whew, that was it, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me throughout all these really long videos. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really do. And thank you so much for joining me again. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.